I am lucky enough to be chatting this morning with relationship coach Jake Maddock. So welcome.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
No worries at all. So to start off with, I guess, can you just let people know who you are, where you're at, what you do, and ultimately what led you to become a relationship coach?
Wow, a lot of information in one there. So my name is Jake Maddock, and what I do is I do a couple of things. I help people find their ideal partner, but I also help people get their relationship to a 10 out of 10. Okay, and that is truly my passion. I want to help as many people as I can with relationships. And what led me on this path is having not the best relationship to look up to as a child, but then also having many bad relationships and a super bad relationship not that long ago. And it put me in so much pain and so much suffering that I don't want anyone else to go through that pain and suffering of having a really bad, painful relationship. So now I help as many people as I can with relationships and show them the right tools and techniques to get their relationship to a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about issues that you had bad relationships in the past, what sort of things were showing up?
Okay, so I'm going to take full responsibility for my past relationships and why they went so bad, because that's what a good leader does. So it was my fault 110% because I didn't know how to live in my masculine properly. I was taking a lot of feminine traits and making my partner at the time, making her the leader and the masculine in the relationship. So I was putting myself into a feminine role, and if I do that, of course the attraction is going to go down, and it did, and it was depressing and a lot of suffering, and I didn't know how to live how I was supposed to live. So it took a lot of learning. It was a big learning curve, and I learned the process of how to live my masculine properly and how to let her enjoy her feminine energy instead of having to be in a masculine leadership role.
Mm-hmm. And is that the relationship that you're in now, or is that a previous relationship when those changes came about?
That's a previous relationship I decided to end. We just didn't have many similarities in common. So even though I could get it to a 10 out of 10, we had no similarities. So opposites attract, but similarities are what bond us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And so you talk about needing to be the leader in a relationship. So were you a leader in the past and then certain things happened where that, I guess, declined and things changed? Or do you feel like you were never really in that leader role in your life or relationship?
I may have been a leader in some aspects, but it was just purely a lack of knowledge. I didn't know how to be a leader and how to be in my masculine in a relationship. No one had taught me. All I had to learn was my parents' relationship and romantic comedies. And in both of those circumstances, the man does these big gestures of, the first date, and he's got this huge bouquet of flowers and all this sort of stuff. That's super feminine traits, and that doesn't build attraction. That makes the attraction go backwards. You have to do the right things at the right time. And I didn't know any of this stuff. So I was doing these feminine things thinking it would make my relationship better, and it made it worse.
Okay. That's probably going to be quite confusing for men and women as well, and I know that we've spoken before, and that's something I wanted to chat about too, is this whole alpha male thing. Because I know when we first started talking, and actually a conversation I had with somebody else, that word initially triggered me quite a lot.
Yeah.
And
Alpha male is such a controversial word because society sort of tells people what an alpha male is. It's some sort of alpha male douchebag asshole, but really that's not what an alpha male is. An alpha male is a leader, and a leader means to serve. So to lead your relationship and your family to success, and to be serving them and be a protector and doing what's best for them. It's not about being a bossy control freak who's a narcissistic asshole sort of thing. That's not what an alpha male is at all. So everyone gets the term confused what it really means.
And so what's the dynamic then? What's the difference between an alpha male and an alpha female?
So alpha females are fantastic. My partner's an alpha female. An alpha female is someone who's got a very high confidence in themselves, very good self-esteem, and is naturally a leader as well. She might be a leader at work. She might be just naturally have those good leadership traits, and everyone should strive to be a leader. Being a leader is fantastic. You take full responsibility for everything that happens, and you're always striving for success in the best way possible, and for the success of everyone around you. So being an alpha male and an alpha female is fantastic, and often they go together quite well.
Okay. Because I actually Googled what is an alpha male, pardon me, and it
Yeah.
says the dominant male animal in a particular group, or a man tending to assume a dominant or domineering role in social or professional situations. So I can definitely understand why that may trigger some people, and women in
Yeah.
particular, because,
Just the word dominant. Hey,
yeah, absolutely.
domineering. You think, oh, whoa, I don't want someone dominating me. 100%. I totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah, it is controversial, and it's because we have these negative associations with what a dominant person is, and like, oh, I don't want to be someone who bullies me and all this sort of stuff. But that's you see, there's a huge difference. But we got all these other words which are tied into it,
Yeah.
which I don't want to be bullied. I don't want to be dominated and all this sort of stuff. But that's not. It's quite a controversial, confusing topic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's more looking at being a leader rather than being somebody who is dominant. So why is it so important? Obviously, when we're referring to relationships in this conversation, they're heterosexual, but at the same time, in same-sex relationships and those sorts of things, there really needs to be a leader, and those masculine and feminine roles definitely still play out in those relationships too. Would you agree?
100%. It doesn't really matter what sort of relationship it is. If you have good polarity, like one person being the masculine and one person being the feminine, more often than not necessarily in 110% every situation, but majority of the time, you're going to have good attraction between one another. It's polarizing, and that's where attraction builds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I was chatting to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and what I worked out, and this particular person was definitely wanting to become more of an alpha male. But after having some conversation, it seemed that the family that he grew up in, his father was definitely the alpha male. So what happens? Do you work with many men, whether in relationships or single, who have grown up with, I suppose, maybe a more domineering male figure in their family unit, that they then struggle to find their own in that too, especially, I guess, if they are quite close with their family too? Because what it seemed to sort of come out as then was anger and wanting to control or overexpress in areas that this person could, rather than, because they couldn't actually step up and step into that power in the environment that they've grown up in.
Definitely, and that's because their dad may have seemed like an alpha male, but he wasn't being a leader by leading and raising his son up to step into that masculine role and giving him leadership responsibilities and traits to build his confidence. See, he may have, often guys who feel like this, I work with guys who feel like this, and guys who don't like yelling and all that sort of stuff, because their dad was so domineering and extreme that it put them back into their feminine energy all the time. See, that he wasn't actually being an alpha male. He was actually being more of a bully and more domineering. He may have been a good dad, but he didn't raise his son up to show him how to be in his alpha male and how to be a strong leader as well. See, that's part of his role, to raise the son up. And what he did, all he did was constantly maybe put his son into a feminine. Now he has trouble going into his masculine and being that leader because his dad didn't show him how. But now he needs to step away from that and think, okay, that was the past. Let's focus on the future, and how can I be the best masculine, confident leader and serve everyone the best I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so in relationships, what's the most common complaint that you have from women, first of all?
From women, a common thing I hear is, I don't feel a spark anymore. My husband isn't acting in his masculine, or isn't acting manly anymore. And a lot of things along those traits, really.
Yeah. And what sort of things in particular, when you say, he's not acting in his masculine and he's not being a man anymore, what sort of behaviors are showing up?
Indecisiveness, right? That's a big one. So a wife might ask her husband, oh, what do you think about this? Or where do you want to go for dinner? And you just go, oh, I don't know. You pick. Oh, I don't know. Whatever decision you choose. That is very anti-masculine behavior. And it's anti-leadership as well. Be a leader, make a decision. It doesn't matter if the decision's wrong. If she says, what shoes should I wear? Just make a decision. You can't be wrong. It's just an opinion. Just say, oh, I like those shoes, wear those. Just be decisive. It's not right or wrong, guys, but it's definitely wrong to be indecisive. Be decisive and back yourself. It's about having confidence. Indecisiveness shows a lack of confidence, and which makes you not seem masculine. And if you're not decisive and not confident in yourself, how is your wife supposed to have confidence that you're going to be a good provider and a good partner and an emotional provider and all this sort of stuff if you don't even have confidence in yourself?
Mm-hmm. And then, so when men are indecisive, what does that then do for the dynamic of the relationship and then the woman in that situation?
Fantastic question. So if the female has to make all the decisions, it's pushing her into the leadership role and pushing her into a masculine. If she's got to constantly make all the decisions, do all the money stuff, do all these sort of things without any help, she's being the leader of the relationship and being the masculine. There's nothing wrong with this. So this is a very controversial topic. There's nothing wrong with this, but it will make the attraction for the man go down. There's no way a woman can do everything and be decisive in every spot and be the leader and be in her masculine and still be attracted to her man when she subconsciously sees him in a more feminine role because he's being indecisive.
And do you think this is do you think this has contributed to a lot of women getting to the point maybe in their relationships or their lives going, well, what's the point of being in this relationship? Or, I don't need a man, I can do everything for myself. And maybe the last relationship they're in or in the lead up to this relationship, it's gotten to a point where it's like, well, I don't really see what your role is here.
Exactly. And a lot of females think they don't need a man. And truly, they don't need a man. And it doesn't matter what your role or what your sex is, you don't need a partner in life. And the problem is a couple may start at a 10 out of 10 as they start dating, but then as it goes down, as soon as it gets to a 5, a woman starts to think a 5 out of 10 for a man, she might think, he's not contributing. I don't feel any sort of spark between us. What's the attraction? What's the point of all this?
Mm-hmm.
And they just go, oh, I don't need you. I can just do everything by myself. You don't do anything for me. It's not making my life any better. So what's the point?
Yeah. And then, so how do women tend to feel then when they are in that masculine role? Like, I know we were chatting the other day and I was talking about my experience and really seeing a clean line between when I switched from that more feminine to the masculine and being really aware of that. For me, it just was so yuck. It was uncomfortable, it was gross, it was frustrating, and it was just this whole different feeling, on a physical level, psychologically, emotionally. And if anything, it was just sort of, I guess, walls just went up. Like I just sort of shut down. Is that tend to be what happens for women?
Definitely, all the time. When a woman has to step into a masculine, her attraction for a partner is going to go down, and then she's going to shut down. She's not going to talk. That's when women start nagging. That's when they be a bit bitchy and start with the silent treatment and all these sort of things. It's because, guys, you need to work at getting your woman into a feminine role. She's not going to be in a feminine 24/7, just like you're not going to be in your masculine 24/7. You have to actively work at making your partner into that role, into their core essence. So if you make a feminine girl become a masculine, her attraction for you is going to go down. Let her be in her feminine and work at making her in her feminine as much as possible, because that's where she's going to feel most natural. That's where her attraction for you is going to be the best. And that's how your relationship's going to be the best it possibly can be.
Mm-hmm. And so does it need to start with the male stepping more into the masculine, or could, if the female settles more into her feminine, would that then make, the male step up? Or does it really need to come from the man first because he's, needs to be the leader in the relationship?
I like to see it come from the man first, but in saying that, if a woman acts more in her feminine, it will put him into his masculine more. But he really needs to actively become more masculine and actively try to be in his masculine as much as he can. So it puts his woman naturally in the feminine. But to really increase that polarity. I like to see it come more from guys, but girls, there's definitely stuff you can do too.
Yeah. And so clients who come and work with you, mostly single or in relationships?
Oh, it's pretty even, to be honest. A lot of singles, but then a lot of people in relationships too.
Yeah. And the singles, are they men? Are they women? Is it a good mix of both?
No, it's men.
Yep. Okay. And so when they come to you, where are they at? Are they sort of dating and having trouble dating? You know, do you really help them step into their masculine, or what sort of things are going on there?
So a lot of the times they're dating, they're having trouble. They may be interested a lot in their ex. They may just be having a lot of heartbreak all around and just generally confused on what to do. A lot of them, they want to rekindle things in their past relationships, but they've acted so feminine in the past that they're having trouble even getting any traction at all. So I help them get back into their masculine, back into their core essence of who they really are, so they're true to themselves, and step into that strong, confident alpha male sort of leader role, and just come across way more attractive to their partners.
Yeah. And so I guess in the single dating world, I haven't been single for a long time. Last time I was single, Tinder didn't even exist. But, you know, do you think there would be the same mix of men not in their masculine as there is women who are not in their feminine?
Oh, that's a tough question. It's really hard to say, but yeah, a lot of women aren't in their feminine. They don't know how to, and a lot of guys aren't in their masculine. They don't know how to, and then they're confused why they're really unhappy and not sure why none of their dating or relationships going very well, and they're just on this perpetual negative mindset because they're confused and depressed and all these sort of things, because they're not being true to themselves, and they're not having pride in who they are.
Mm-hmm. And do you know much about attachment styles?
Like what?
So like anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, disorganized, that sort of thing?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you find men to be, in general, more one sort of attachment style than the other compared to women? Do you notice anything like that?
Not particularly. More so than women. They definitely have a lot of attachments, but so do women. So it's not really a huge difference on the basis of it. No.
Yeah, cool. All right. So if there's a guy watching this and he's like, oh, this really resonates, you know, I'm having trouble dating if he's single or he's in a relationship. And I guess for men as well, first question, what does it feel like when they are being in their feminine more and not in their masculine? Like I talked about how it felt for me. What does it feel like for men?
It feels confusing. I lived a lot of my life in my feminine energy and didn't know it. You're confused. You don't have any. You're really surrendering all your power that you have to other people, and it's not a good feeling. And you don't feel like you're being true to yourself, and it puts you in a depressive state very fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so 3 top tips for men to step into their masculine more, what would they be? Really simple, easy things.
Sure. So some really simple things to remember, guys, whether you're in a relationship or you're dating, be more of a man than she is. Okay. I'm not saying you got to be some alpha male macho guy all the time, but be more of a man than she is. That's a great sentence to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is the courtship never ends, guys. Okay. So whether you're in a relationship 1 month or 10 years, the courtship never ends. You got to keep spending time with your woman and dating her and all that sort of stuff. Another one to step into your masculine would be practice things which raise your confidence. So get out there, go to the gym, look after yourself, eat well, and all this sort of stuff to raise your confidence so you have a better self-esteem. It's going to be easier to put yourself in your masculine if you're feeling good about yourself. If you're really depressed and down constantly, it's going to be hard to really be in your masculine fully.
Okay. And so if there are some people dating or in a relationship at the moment and say the male is quite depressed or down and those sorts of things, should he be talking to his partner about his feelings openly, or does that then influence the dynamic as well?
It's okay. This is a very controversial one. Guys, you don't want to talk about your feelings constantly. Okay. This is going to make you appear feminine. Talk about your feelings with your girl a little bit, especially if she does something which really makes you really frustrated. Go, look, I don't like that. Like, defend your boundaries for sure, but don't cuddle up on her chest like a little koala and cry for half an hour because she hurt your feelings because she called you an idiot or something. That's counterproductive, and it's going to lower her attraction for you. If you really need to talk about your emotions and you're feeling really depressed, talk to someone like me. Talk to Lifeline. We've all been depressed. I was very depressed. I was going through a very suicidal stage. I called Lifeline like 100 times. There's people to talk to and people to call if you're feeling really emotional. Your girlfriend or wife is not one of them. She may seem really supportive, and she may be really supportive. But if you use her as a counselor, if you use her as your mum, her attraction for you is going to go down. She's not a counselor. She's not your mother.
And so how does that then go in terms of being really open and honest with one another? Because, you know, I know probably most women would be like, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's wrong. You can talk to me, you know, like you can cry if you want to. I know I've said that time and time again. So I guess then would it just be, I suppose he wouldn't want to hide the fact that he may be working through some stuff.
Yeah, you don't need to hide anything.
Yeah.
It's just how expressive you are. So if you're going through a hard time and you're having a lot of mental stress, and even if you're feeling suicidal, just go, look, I'm feeling really depressed and overwhelmed at the moment. I think I'm going to go talk to a counselor. And she says, and even if she says, oh, look, you can talk to me. He goes, oh, look, I really appreciate that, but I'm just going to talk to a counselor, see if I can work it out because I'm feeling really overwhelmed. But I don't want anything to negatively affect our relationship. So I don't want to put any undue stress onto you.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. And then, so what about with women? Should women be confiding in, you know, their man or their partner with, I guess, their emotional stuff, or if they're struggling, those sorts of things? Is it different that way?
It is different, and yes, they should. Yes, I'm not saying that if they're really struggling with like suicidal thoughts and stuff, talk to your man, but then also talk to a Lifeline or whatever, because there's heaps of support out there. But it is different between men and women. Girls, if you're feeling really emotional and there's lots of things you want to get off your mind, use your man. He's there and he should be trying to listen to you and try to understand, using a bit of empathy, trying to understand where you're coming from and trying to help you out.
And I guess that then takes the pressure off relationships as well. And that one person who we've been taught to believe needs to fill every one of our needs. You know what I mean? They need to be the provider, they need to be the support, they need to be, you know, all of these different things, rather than then lean on other people in our lives or other services and things like that to help support ourselves. So then that takes the pressure off too. So I would imagine that in itself, if that was something that was going on in a relationship and then that changed, I would imagine that would make more time and space and energy for more romance or connection or positivity. Yeah.
You're 100% right. There's only so many hours in the day. So if you work all day and then you come home and your wife's been looking after kids and cleaning up the house and making things really good, and you come home and you want to complain for an hour about how bad your day was, you're wasting all your time. Don't complain about work. Use that time to talk about romance and goals and be fun and loving. There's only so many hours. So if you make your wife your counselor or your mother and you spend all this time talking to her, what chance do you have for attraction? There's going to be no time left. Use your time wisely.
Yeah. And so when we're using that time wisely, and I know you've mentioned before, communication can be a massive issue in relationships. So what sort of issues in terms of communication do you come across, you know, with men and women?
So many. So guys, if there's something wrong, if your lady's upset, it's your job to figure out what it is. Okay. So if she's got a sad look on her face, or her shoulders are slumped forward, or she just doesn't seem as happy and jovial as her usual self is, and you say, oh, what's wrong? And she goes, oh, nothing's wrong. It's okay. It's your job to keep probing her until you get the answer. You need to be her support, her emotional support, not just financial support. You got to be all these different support networks and find out what's really going on. And that's going to prove to her that you care about her. So even if she says, no, nothing's wrong 100 times, keep probing until you figure out what it is. Don't do anything else. If she goes nothing wrong, and you go down, sit down and watch TV and eat a pizza, she's going to think, oh, he doesn't care about me at all. You know, your job's to keep probing and find out what it is. If there's something wrong, even if it's something small, like, oh, who knows, a tea towel got ripped and you had to throw it out or something. Who knows, the car's dirty. It doesn't really matter. You have to probe her and figure out what's going on. So you're being supportive and you're being the leader in the relationship and finding out what's wrong.
And then so on the reverse, if a female picks up and can tell something's bothering him and she asks and he said, no, nothing, do we just let it go then?
It's pretty rare, to be honest, because guys usually don't go nothing's wrong more than 5 times. See, women can say nothing's wrong for hours and hours until they eventually tell you what's wrong. If a girl asks a guy what's wrong, he goes, oh, nothing, it's okay. If she asks him again, he usually just says it. So yeah, girls, if your guy seems really upset, ask him what's wrong. And guys, don't spill your guts about it. Just say what's wrong. Oh, my drill broke and I got to go and buy a new one. And she goes, oh, okay, no worries. Cool. No worries. And then just keep going with the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And so something I want to talk about as well is equality with men and women. And for me personally, you know, I don't see it as at a human being level in terms of, you know, respect and decency, and then, you know, in the workplace with equal pay and those sorts of things. Absolutely. But outside of that, I think it's about celebrating our differences. You know, we are made different. We are meant to be different, and equality is celebrating those. You know, women aren't made to do everything that a man can do, and vice versa. I mean, if it were that way, men would be able to have babies, you know?
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
It is. So I guess this might be, controversial, and I'm sure you've had it in the past, talking about how it's different for men and women when this whole equality thing comes in.
Yeah, so it is controversial. We live in a very PC world, and it's very confusing for people to hear that men and women should act different in a relationship, and masculine and feminine energy and all these sort of things. And look, there's nothing wrong if a female wants to be masculine, and it's okay if a man wants to be feminine, but it's going to be hard to get your relationship to a 10 out of 10 and be truly happy in those states unless that is truly your core essence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so equality, yeah, men and women, they may be equal, right? But they're different. Let's be proud of our energy, and let's be proud of who we are. I'm masculine. I'm proud of the fact that I'm a man. It's not a bad thing. Ladies, it's not a bad thing you're a woman. Be proud of your femininity and be happy to live in that energy. Be happy to be girly. It's not a bad thing. And guys, it's not a bad thing to be manly. Enjoy it. We're different. Let's celebrate it. There's nothing wrong with being masculine, and there's nothing wrong with being feminine.
Mm-hmm. And so can we talk a little bit about, and I've actually got something here, about what those different energies are, you know, because some people may go, girly, oh, well, what if I don't want to wear dresses and I don't want to wear earrings? But you can still be feminine and girly, but not fit that stereotype, yeah?
Oh, definitely. It's not so much about what you wear. It's more about how you act, I suppose, and your personality and your willingness to be. Feminine is about being open and loving and supportive and surrendering to his love and all this sort of stuff. It's feminine is a great thing, and be proud of it. It's not, you don't have to wear a frilly dress and high heels every day, even though, hey, it's great if you want to too. You can wear whatever, black jeans and a lumberjack shirt, whatever. You can still be feminine and be girly with it, you know, if you want to be.
Yeah. And so I've got some things here talking about healthy feminine and masculine energy. So for feminine, it's open, patient, caring, wise, flexible, compassionate. Unhealthy feminine energy is lazy, unfocused, depressed, over-nurturing, unmotivated. So it's really about that, I guess, you know, being more fluid, being more open, caring, that nurturing, that softness, but also still having strength, still being resilient, still being able to lead and be assertive and communicate effectively and be confident and not be a pushover. And
yeah,
then
definitely.
Yeah, healthy masculine energy is focused, disciplined, active, has a purpose, has a vision, and also obviously there's a little bit of a crossover there too, where a little bit of masculine energy with the feminine gives more structure and focus, and then a little bit of feminine with the masculine softens it and deepens it and makes it a bit wiser. So looking at it like that, and then also experiencing it myself too, being in that energy, being in that space, for me at least, is just like a massive weight has been lifted off my shoulders. It feels so much more natural and comfortable, and there's no tension or anything, but I'm still confident.
Yeah,
I still have
well
healthy
said.
boundaries. I still communicate my wants and needs and, my opinion and those sorts of things. But the biggest the biggest shift I probably noticed is in my body physically, and so I would imagine then for the opposite, when men feel that softness, I suppose, or that sort of thing physically, it would be uncomfortable for them, like it would be for me when I'm in my masculine. Yeah.
Definitely. It doesn't feel great. And it's a beautiful thing for a girl to be in her feminine energy. You can still be strong, but loving and caring and open. It's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. And so, with what do you think that this people being, not in their natural energy, do you think it's becoming more and more common? Or do you think it's always been an issue and we're just becoming more aware of it?
I think it's becoming more of an issue. Like, obviously, I wasn't alive 50 years ago, but back then, I don't think women felt like the weight of the world was on their shoulders to be feminine and masculine and the leader and do every single thing in the whole world and be the boss at work and be the boss at home and all this sort of stuff all the time. So now they feel like they have to be really masculine all the time. And it's not fair. They feel like the weight's on their whole shoulders and guys can be feminine all the time and not being there masculine. So all the responsibility is on the female. Now, how is that fair?
Mm. And so do you think the environment that women are in a lot of the time, I think about where I live and there's a lot of mining around here and there's a lot of women who work in a male dominated industry. And I know when I used to work in that industry as well, I felt like I needed to be a certain way, one to earn respect, but also to sort of fit in there too. Do you think, the fact that women are working in more dominant industries, in more stereotypical, I guess, male roles and things like that, do you think that's adding to women being more masculine, or you don't think that does?
Maybe it does a little bit, but that's also just another excuse of why they need to act that way. So I've met girls who are prison officers, super manly job, and they are super feminine. You
Mm-hmm.
can still be feminine and still be strong. They're super girly. They enjoy their femininity and they're proud that they're a woman, and they act and talk in a way which is very feminine and are happy to be feminine, but they can also be very strong when they need to be.
Yeah. Do you think trauma or, being hurt in the past, maybe in relationships, has a lot to do with why women are then more in their masculine and sort of have that coldness and that hardness to them?
100%. And usually the only thing that makes women masculine is men who act feminine. So if a man is so much in his feminine all the time and keeps letting his girl down, she automatically has to become that more masculine to survive and be happy. And then she might even end the relationship or whatever, but she keeps that masculinity because that's what she thinks she needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you mentioned just then, if he continues to let her down, what sort of things are you seeing in relationships where men are letting women down?
So it can be a whole bunch of things: indecisiveness, being too emotional, making the girl their mother or their counselor, and all that sort of stuff. Not doing the courtship properly, not dating them properly, not doing activities which strengthen the bond between the two of you, so it makes the friendship better. Letting them down sexually, all sorts of things.
Okay.
So there's lots of things a guy needs to do so he doesn't let her down. But it's not a it's don't think of it as hard work, because it's not hard work. Enjoy it. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. And so when people start dating, I think I was watching a video of yours and you were talking about just taking things slow. like just going on a date once a week or whatever, catching up, for, maybe even a couple of months and then moving things. Are you finding that people in relationships are jumping in really quickly in general?
Yep, 100%. Most people go from 0 to 100 super fast, and then after 2 months they're living with each other, and then they find out they don't even like each other anyway, and there's heaps of red flags, and then it's super messy to end the relationship. You realistically, you probably should date for at least 3 to 6 months before even thinking about living together. At least, maybe even longer. You really need that dating period so you get to know the person, set up the foundation. It's the same as building a house. You don't just stick a frame on the dirt. You've got to put a slab down first and footings and all this sort of stuff. If you don't build those foundations, how are you going to have a long-lasting, healthy, fantastic relationship? It's very difficult.
And so, what do you think is the driving force behind people so quickly jumping into relationships? Is it loneliness? Is it us not being able to, fulfill our own needs and maybe wanting the other person to make us whole? Is it the movies that we watch? Is it the honeymoon period and all of those emotions and chemicals and things running around that we just think this is it? It's going to be great. What do you think that it is, or a combination?
Yeah, it's probably all those things, really. We watch these romantic comedies where people meet and then a week later they're getting married and think, oh, I'd love a fairy tale romance like that. You
Mm,
can have a fairy tale romance, but let's do it over a few years, not in a week. People get so wrapped up in their emotions that they just go, yeah, let's do all these things and it's going to be fantastic, but they miss out on red flags because they're so high on emotion.
yeah,
So you got to try to not forget about the emotion, but just you got to do the things at the right time.
yeah. And are you finding then people who are just jumping into relationships really quickly have a tendency to then lose themselves?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people that jump straight into relationships, and then you talk to their friends, they haven't seen their friends in the whole time they've been in a relationship because they're so consumed with the relationship. They haven't seen their friends. They haven't done any of their hobbies. They completely a different person. And then they're suddenly their partner's not attracted to them. It's because they've changed so much. That's really anti-masculine. Guys, you need to be so driven on your purpose
Mhm.
that it doesn't matter what happens, you're on a purpose. So even if you have a 10 out of 10 relationship, you still got to pursue your purpose and be ambitious, because that's what your partner finds attractive anyway, your ambition. No one wants a loser. Okay. Be ambitious and keep going on that track.
Yeah. And I guess that then obviously influences the masculine and the feminine energy, that maybe when people are first dating and that there is that really healthy balance there. And then because of the speed of things, it throws everything out of whack a bit.
Exactly. A guy can start really masculine and a woman can start really feminine. And then as the relationship goes on, it sort of changes.
Yeah. So can you, if a woman is more, are there women who are naturally more masculine and men who are naturally more feminine? And then if that is the case, though them together in a relationship, can that be a 10 out of 10 relationship as well?
It can be. In my experience, it's on the rare side, but it 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 still works with polarity. So they still have that polarity of the woman being masculine and the man being feminine. It still has that polarity.
Mhm.
In my experience, is pretty rare, and a lot of people, they think about it and go, "Oh, that sounds kind of icky," which I can totally understand that as well, because it's sort of against the grain sort of thing. But it's definitely possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, and then, so I guess for women, then, what are some tips for them if they're dating or in relationships, um, to, I guess, be more feminine, you know, themselves? Like, what are the three main things that you would tell them to do?
So be really open and be proud of your femininity. Try to envelop that femininity. Be really proud of the fact that you're feminine, and enjoy being girly. Be girly and surrender to his love, and really envelop those love emotions and be really flirty. Another thing you could do, practice good communication, girls. So if there's something on your mind, try to explain it in a way that he understands. It's easy to come across very criticizing and naggy. So you got to find a way to come across in a loving way, which isn't criticizing, and try to get him to understand in a way. And the third one, to put yourself in your feminine, be really flirty and be really, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Affectionate.
Yes, affectionate. I always forget that word. Be really affectionate. Lots of kisses and hugs and all that sort of stuff. Touch him everywhere. It's a feminine thing, like very, very cute and flirty and all that sort of stuff, and affectionate. It's enjoy the process. It's fun to do.
Hmm. And so this 10 out of 10 relationship that you're referring to, what is that?
So a 10 out of 10 relationship is purely what the person thinks a 10 out of 10 relationship is. So we all have a different idea of what a 10 out of 10 relationship is. It could be, who knows, it could be going on to the beach every day for a nice walk and then having a nice romantic dinner every night. Whatever. It's different for every single person. It's purely on how you feel in the relationship.
Hmm. Yeah. And so would there be a point, when you start working with somebody, and I know that we've had this conversation where you sort of get them to rate, well, where are you at the moment? Is every relationship fixable, or do you really have to work out, are those two people just at a point where they just don't want to be there anymore?
So relationships can be fixable. There's some which aren't. And the ones that aren't are people who have no similarities at all. Like if you get a person who just, if you get a guy who loves playing computer games and plays Minecraft and Fortnite just 24/7, and that's all he wants to do, that's it. He's not interested in anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a woman who's really active and she likes hitting the gym and going rock climbing and mountain climbing, all that stuff every day. There's no similarities there. And it'd be surprising to me if those two people even got in a relationship in the first place, because usually to get in a relationship, you have some similarities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the only relationships which can't be sort of gotten to a 10 out of 10 if you have no similarities. Because I can make people more masculine, I can make girls more feminine, but I can't make you like some hobby that you're just not interested in. So if you have zero similarities at all and you're not interested in anything the other person has to do in their life and all that sort of stuff, well, why are you with them anyway, really?
Yeah, it's sort of like the glue that keeps things together.
Exactly. You need something to talk about. If you've got absolutely nothing to talk about, like you're an 80-year-old man who likes playing chess and you married a 20-year-old girl who likes netball, what are you going to talk about,
And then I guess, what do you do with your time then? There would always be one person compromising for the other person completely. And so do you see that in relationships a lot, where people first, I guess there's the chemistry, or there's maybe that physical attraction and the sparks there in the beginning, and then people tend to mold themselves to like things and do things that the other person does, and then after a while they get sick of that. Do you see that show up in relationships too, that then causes issues later on, or?
Sometimes, but it's always an underlying issue of something else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never the main issue, no.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Alrighty. Well, can you just share with everyone before we finish how people can find you, like Facebook, Instagram, website?
Yeah, so I'm on all the socials, guys, Facebook, Instagram, and all that sort of stuff. Just Jake Maddock. Also, my website's Maddock Coaching. Lots of good info in there. If you're looking to find your ideal partner, or you're trying to get your relationship to a 10 out of 10, look me up. I've got lots of good tips and information on there on how to really help you achieve that. Relationships can be really good, and they also can be devastating. Let's try to make them great.
Yeah. And also, probably, are you able to just offer some advice to people? I'm very open to coaching and change, and if I don't know how to do something, okay, I need to find out how to do it. So who can help me? But a lot of people who may be really resistant to that, thinking they should just know, but within relationships, how are we supposed to know?
Great question. Who's teaching you about relationships? You don't learn about it in school. The only thing you have to learn off is watching your parents or watching romantic comedies. And what if both of those aren't right? Romantic comedies definitely are not right, because that's not how attraction works. And your parents, they may have been right, they may have been wrong. So how are you going to learn it?
Mm-hmm.
You learn it from people like me, and how to show you how to get to a 10 out of 10 relationship and live in that energy. So it's the same as driving a car. The first time you drive a car, you're pretty rusty and you're nervous and all this sort of stuff. So you don't really know how to do it, but you learn how to do it. It's the same as anything. You're not born really good with money. You're not born really good at relationships. You need to grow those traits, and you need to grow your repertoire of tools and techniques on how to have a 10 out of 10 relationship. So I help people do that. So don't feel bad if you don't know how to do it or you're confused about the whole process. It is confusing. I was very confused and I suffered for it. And people say ignorance is bliss. For me, ignorance was pain and I suffered and I was emotional and my life was terrible. But through that pain, I grew and I learned and I got coaches and mentors and books until I know everything I do today on how to achieve that and how never, ever to feel that pain again.
Yeah, because relationships are such a massive part of our lives,
So true. It's huge.
incredibly important. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been so interesting and amazing, and you're amazing. So thanks for your time. And I'll pop a link to your social media sites and your website with this post as well. And if anyone's got any questions or you'd like some coaching with Jake or to have a conversation, reach out. He's incredible. And yeah, it's definitely worth investing in yourself and your relationship.
Thanks, Becky. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake.
Bye.
Bye.